Kempire is brought to you by...
We just had another successful Kempire After Dark, the Villain Era live experience in Atlanta, and we are headed to Washington, D.C. on August 22nd. Every single show is so uniquely different. Ask anyone that's been to the Philly show or the Atlanta show or the next Washington, D.C. show. Get your tickets today for our night of hot topics, tea being spilled, me and you, and for so much more. More information will be available in the description on our next show date, which will be coming up August 22nd. And then our last summer tour date will be here in New York City on September 12th at the Green Room 42. That show not only will have a meet and greet available, will also have a live stream option. So no matter where you are in the world, you will be able to be a part of the Kempire After Dark, the Villain Era live show in New York City on September 12th. More information on both shows will be available in the description. I'll see you all very soon.
You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. This is our weekly recap of the Real Housewives of Orange County. I told you this season for me has been sort of like, it hasn't been bad. You know, I've been grading the Real Housewives cities the last season because of Real Housewives of New York on a curve. It's definitely not as bad as that. I still have my key moments. And maybe because I'm not really an Orange County historian or real fan of the series. I've enjoyed the last couple of seasons. But when you look at cities like Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, or you look at cities like Miami, I just feel a little bit differently. Speaking of Miami, don't forget to watch our recap that we did yesterday on the Real Housewives of Miami. I did see a lovely photo of Adriana, Gertie, and Lisa hanging out after the reunion, and they looked very celebratory. So, looks like they may have had a good reunion. However, that could be strategic. They don't know how this is going to be cut up and spliced. Let's be honest, because I think, and I always say this because, you know, people always say you can't, blame editing. No, what I've learned from analyzing reality television and finding out about context and finding out behind the scenes and what they signed in their contracts when it comes to how audio can be spliced and diced and added from one scene to another scene. I don't look at reality TV the same way that maybe some of you might look at reality television. Our community, I keep telling you, so you're probably getting no longer desensitized to some of the things that you see on reality television. But I'm hopeful because at the end of the day, the truth is on their side. It will be interesting to see. I did see that Stephanie took to social media to address the haters that were talking about her getting first seat. We talked about this as well. Based on what we've seen so far, 9 episodes, it didn't make sense why her and Alexia got first seat based off of their fight. Because if they're going to drag that out for the next 7, 8, 9 episodes, please, y'all can save it. But she had like a very snarky comment about it. Although I thought it was funny, a little clever in her response, at the same time, there's something about her. Even on her dressing room door, she says no. I forgot what she said. I saw it on like the Queens of Bravo channel. There's something about her energy, and I think it's because, and I said this before when she first showed up. I was like, I kind of like Stephanie, but I'm gonna wait because so many people very much like the Shamia of it all. A lot of you will be like, oh my God, I love her. She is the queen. No. I need to know more about you before I call you the queen of anything. And even her money allegedly might be funny. So none of that is impressive to me. But some of her things that she said, remember the whole Persian comment about the home? We found out that the home allegedly might be in foreclosure. So I'm looking at the Stephanie of it all like, okay, girl. My vibe with her. But apparently, although she wants to pretend like she's not bothered to post on Instagram a comment about people being bothered that you're seated next to Andy in your first season, maybe she will bring it in the next few episodes. I will be like, yeah, she deserved that first seat. And I know some of you are like, what's the big deal about the first seat? Again, it is a power position, more so in the ego of the Housewives, but also in the Bravo fan base. For me, I could care less. I don't care. That for me, it's not a power position. Okay? But whatever. But in their heads, and I'm sure in her head, she probably feels like, yes, I'm the queen. I had a fantastic season. But you know what Alexia said a couple of episodes ago when she got into a fight with Stephanie? Like, your marriage can't be that good if you're on this Ishi show. Come on. That, for me, broke the fourth wall. Like, oh, so what does that say about your marriages? What does that say about all these other people's marriages in other cities? The money's funny over there. There's probably a handful of people where the money is not funny. A handful, and I mean that literally, a handful of people where the money is not funny, or the amount of wealth that they pretend to have on the show is not exactly what they have in the bank. Again, I never started watching Real Housewives because of the wealthy. It was because of personalities. It was because they lived a certain lifestyle, not necessarily a luxurious lifestyle. Speaking of luxurious,
Lies, the lie.
Real Housewives of Orange County starts off with Gina's housewarming. Shout out to the fans, because not my fans. I'm just talking about fans of Real Housewives of Orange County, because I saw so many people like, oh my gosh, so impressed by Gina's home, impressed by Gina's trip. We know by now that these trips are not paid by the housewives. This is all paid by Bravo. If it was her party, that was impressive and things like that. And I know she had, a few good bottles of wine and champagne. But I'm happy for Gina. Gina has definitely seen, and this is what Emily says in the scene, that she's come through a lot. Like, she went from, the divorce and having nothing, and now she's in a better place. I'm happy for Gina. I don't think that Gina needs to have luxury. That's not my quandary with Gina being on the show. My quandary with Gina being on the show is that there really isn't a lot there in personality, in relevance, in story, even though in this episode, there's still stuff going on with the Travis of it all. Question for the audience. If you just got out of a bad divorce, and I know she didn't just get out of one, but it wasn't that long ago, then you get in this relationship with Travis. He might be a lovely man, but this is a messy situation. That was the reason why they had to end up living apart. Now they're living back together, and now there's more issues with Travis's ex-wife, who might have some serious issues. And I said this during our recaps last season, that please understand, guys, I think people took literal that she moved out because she needed space from Travis, blah, 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 or he moved out because of that. But I was telling you what was going on in the blogs was, no, there was a legal situation happening with Travis and his ex. And that was the real reason why he had to move out. But now we're seeing this is continuing into this season, that there are issues with Travis's ex. And apparently Travis' son, has not gone to school in 3 weeks. Isn't that illegal? I don't know the state laws for California, but I know here in New York, if you are, especially in a situation like this where there's a custody battle, if you are not sending the kids to school, you will get arrested. So I don't understand how that's happening, and Travis hasn't taken her to court. Because I'm not that invested in Gina's life, so I don't remember all the legal details. But from what I recall, doesn't Travis have, and I don't know the timeline of when this was filmed, but the last I heard, wasn't Travis the sole parent and she had to have permission to see her kids? I don't remember the details. But maybe this is what will happen during the season. I mean, I feel for Travis, but I'm going to tell you this. If I was Gina at her big age, and I think we're probably around the same age, if I had been through a divorce, been through a DUI, have my own young children, I'd be like, Travis, I love you, but you're going to have to figure out whatever's happening with your ex before we can continue having a relationship. I wouldn't get married to you. I wouldn't get engaged to you. So I don't blame her for not getting engaged or being married to him. I wouldn't get involved. I just don't think it's worth it. I don't care how much I love you, because love is not going to pay the bills. And I'm not saying it has anything to do with money, but love is just a portion of a relationship and a marriage. You have to really think about your own children. She has young children. And luckily her situation with her ex is amicable now. And he's married to Kelly Dodd. No, he's not. She just looks like Kelly Dodd. See, I know some things when it comes to Orange County. Come on now. Give me some credit. So I just, honestly, I probably would have broken up with Travis. Live chat, replay crew. What would you have done? Would you have stuck it out? Love conquers all. Again, this is when you have to get practical when it comes to your life. But most importantly, Gina's not just managing her own life. She's managing the lives of minor children. And I feel like because of the issues that she's going through with Travis, this affects her children. In my opinion, especially in this episode when the ex is calling your minor children. Like, no, that's not cool. That's why I'd be like, Travis, I'm done. I can't. I tried. We tried, Travis. You and your big balls. Ew, I said I didn't want to talk about that anymore. Here I go, bringing it up. Guys, don't forget, I had such a fantastic time in Atlanta this past week. I can't believe it's already Friday. Where did the time go? Atlanta, thank you so much for showing up and showing out on a Tuesday. I know you all, every time I come to these shows, it feels like you guys think that I won't come back. Oh, because you threaten us. But here's the thing, like, I don't want to go into logistics. I've talked about this before about touring. Touring is not as easy as you guys think. There's a lot of plotting and planning beyond just actually putting on a show. There's a lot of plotting and planning, and it's not like I can just be like, oh yeah, if we don't sell out, like selling out proves to other cities and other promoters, yes, we can bring the show to your city. So that's why it's important. Shout out to those of you that traveled near and far. People came from Florida. Sidebar, because there were some heterosexual men in the room. Some men that I actually recognized. There was a couple, and if you see this, please comment in the comment section. There was a couple that I think came to my Nashville show. And I remember I think your boyfriend or your husband, I don't remember. And I remember, y'all both were Virgos? Look, I wanted to mention, and completely, I was mad that I didn't mention it during the live show. Because there was a couple of heterosexual couples that were in the room. Shout out to y'all. I love that the husbands will come through for their ladies, okay? But no, there was some other stuff. I'm going to have to do a separate live to talk about it. But no, there was this couple that came from Florida to the Nashville show. And I told her to come to the meet and greet. Why didn't she come to the meet and greet in Nashville? And I saw them in the audience at the Atlanta show. So I say all that to say, I remembered, y'all. Elephant brain's working. Oh, that's not even the elephant thing.
Who said that?
What did she say? You did.
I'm praying all the... There we go. I remember y'all, and I remember y'all because y'all were up front at the Nashville show, and y'all came from Florida. So I say all that to say, thank you to those of you that travel from near and far to come to the show, but also thank you to everyone that was there at the Atlanta show. I'm saying all of this because I will be coming to Washington, D.C. on August 22nd, then back here in New York City on September 12th for the Kempire After Dark, the villain era. And if you went to the Philly show, you know what type of show it was. If you came to the Atlanta show, you know what type of show it was. Every single show is so different. I had such a fantastic time in both cities. I'm looking forward to DC because DC always shows up and shows out. We're going to be at a different venue this time. It's actually right across the street, Pearl Street, DC. Be sure to check it out. If you haven't gotten your tickets already, be sure to get your tickets. Get your meet and greet tickets as well. We can do some Chris Brown posing and whatnot. All right. And then, of course, again, the New York City show also has meet and greets, but there's a special live stream option for the New York City show. So that means anyone from around the world can watch the show. All right. Get your tickets today. More information on the Kempire After Dark, the villain era, will be available in the description. And don't forget, you can hear our live recaps like this one for Real Housewives of Orange County in our podcast. Subscribe to our podcast today. And don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And don't forget the Apple Podcasts podcast actually has the Club Kempire special paid podcast opportunity where we talk about some exclusive stuff. So maybe that's where I will talk about the Kempire After Dark Atlanta show. So, all right. Back to this. If you haven't already, guys, be sure to like the video. We're talking about the Real Housewives of Orange County. We're at Gina's housewarming. The house is nice. So she gives the ladies a tour. Fine. Can I just say this? Tamra, before she arrived, she's like, my social anxiety is at an all-time high because she's trying to prepare herself because someone's going to come after her. The way that you come after people, like I'm really trying my best, guys, to actually have empathy for her because what's really happening is that Teddy is battling cancer and the cancer is really bad. And our prayers continue for Teddy Mellencamp. But I hate to think that Tamra is so vile that she's turning this into her own storyline. I believe on some level, of course, she works with Teddy. She became really close with Teddy. Obviously, she's concerned about her friend. But the fact that we're spending this majority of the season so far making that her storyline, I'm like, this feels like it's just a storyline. And I already know some of you already hate Tamra, so you're already like, no, Kempire, I agree with you. I don't need you to agree with me. I just hate that we're in this space where I'm watching and seeing, oh, it's a new Tamra. I'm in therapy. I'm going through my friend going through brain cancer, and I'm talking about my daughter's music career. It feels so forced. It feels so produced. And your social anxiety is at an all-time high. Girl, you are the reason for a lot of these women's social anxiety, if we're going to be honest. But then there's a part of me that says a lot of these ladies probably have social anxiety when coming into filming because they're sort of like they never know what they're going to come into when filming with these group of women, because it's not just women filming their own personal storylines. A lot of them feel like they have to show up and show out in order to secure their spot. Hence why when Angela Oakley said this to Phaedra, I was like, y'all know exactly what she means. You might have a secure contract for this next season. Doesn't mean that you don't need to show up in order to secure future contracts, especially when you have been put on pause for years. So let's stop playing like we don't understand what Angela meant in that moment. How does it become about them? I tried to bring everything together, okay? All right, so Teddy just got out of the hospital, so she updates the group. And here's the thing. Have you ever, as a kid, played like you were sick? That is the energy I'm getting from Tamra. I hate to say that, but this is my review. I'm going to speak my truth. I don't care what anyone says. That is what I am viewing it. I hate to feel that way because we know that Teddy's really going through what Teddy's going through. But I just feel like, it feels like she's pretending to be as distraught. I'm not saying she's not distraught, but I feel like she's putting on. That's how I feel, okay? That's my opinion, okay? All right, Heather, so the group separates, and Gretchen's inside having a conversation with Tamra, and she does come to the defense of Jenn, and we all know that's the whole reason why Gretchen's even here. I don't mind Gretchen, though, so far. What I've seen of Gretchen, I'm like, I don't mind her. I think she fits in nicely. She doesn't feel like she's doing too much. She doesn't feel like she's desperate necessarily to be on the show. She might be, but it doesn't feel that way. And she does have a conversation with Tamra, and it goes left very quickly because Tamra doesn't ever show any accountability. All right. So she decides to go join the ladies outside. But before that even happens, Jenn has a conversation with Heather. And I told you I feel like Heather's had a lobotomy because somehow she doesn't see, or she sees Tamra in a different way than everyone else does, including us. Okay? We found out from Gina that Tamra was showing this, quote, fatty, because clearly she was not fat, Jenn. She's definitely lost a lot of weight, but she was not fat in that photo, okay? Some people, that's their goal weight, okay? And Gina tells, because Gina's, a producer, she tells Jenn, she's showing this photo to people, okay? And she just showed it to Heather. So Heather tries to explain it away. And Jen's like, are you trying to make excuses right now for her showing this photo? Are you trying to say you can see it from her perspective? And Heather's like, I'm not saying that, but okay. So when they were inside, Tamra said something that stood out to me. She says, I apologize for the FBI rumor to Jenn. It's hard for you to just say that you apologized to spreading a defamatory rumor about Ryan. I'm not Team Ryan. I still think Ryan is shaky, okay? Even though I will say in this episode, he's not as shaky. He definitely seems like he's stepping up. And I know I said last week, I felt like, I don't know, it's a little awkward with the amount of involvement that he has, but it seems like he had to get involved because Will is a scrub. Jen's ex-husband is a scrub. That's why he had to have his other son co-sign on a student loan for their other son. It seems as if we really break down Jen's ex job was working for Jen's father. So it seems as if she was married to someone that just was not stable. And who knows, was not saving money. I don't know. I mean, Jenn doesn't seem the best with money, but it seems as if Will wasn't the best with money either. Because we also find out in this episode that he hasn't paid on that lump sum that he was supposed to pay her, like $200,000, and he's not paying child support or the spousal support he's supposed to pay, $6,000 a month. So she could literally take him to court. She should take him to court. But anyway, so Tamra says that she apologized for the FBI rumor to Jenn, so Jenn should just magically move on. I'm sorry. When Jenn said that she had to pay for lawyers that she did not have the money for, especially because Will is not paying the lump sum that he was supposed to pay, he's not paying the child support or the spousal support, and now I have to go out of pocket because now Will's going to bring me to court over something like this. I'm like, come on now. I don't blame Jenn for being upset. And based off of what we found out about Will, Jenn is more of a saint than I thought before, if I'm going to be honest with you. So Gina makes an announcement about this cash trip, but you may recall in the same scene, we literally have Tamra talk about an incident that happened in New Orleans with Teddy and Teddy falling down the stairs. And that was like the early signs of something's wrong. So Gina announces that the group is going to take their cash trip to New Orleans. So, of course, Tamra walks away and goes inside and... hold on, y'all. Let me turn my notifications off. Please hold. There we go. This is when people decide to start texting me. This is pre-recorded for those that didn't know. It's pre-recorded. Because I have things to do today, and I am still making the time to give you guys your Real Housewives of Orange County recap. Okay? All right. Tamra has this reaction. She goes inside, but pay attention to her body language. Pay attention to her facial expression. I'm not saying that she might not be a little triggered by it, but it feels performative. It feels like, oh, let me go inside because I'm supposed to be upset. I'm supposed to be reacting this way. People would have more empathy for you, Tamra, if you had had an ounce of empathy ever on this show. And based on what I've seen of you since you returned, I haven't seen that. I've seen someone that is just the lowest, filthiest human being I've ever seen on reality television. And that's saying a lot because you seem to have no soul and you'll do whatever for reality television's sake, whatever is going to secure your spot on this show. She talked about on the Vile Files, I saw a clip where she was saying she was hanging out with the executive producer and he had told her that Gretchen was coming back. She was like, she has a personal relationship with the executive producer. And I get it. These productions and crews are very integrated into their lives. But one of the things as an HR professional working with temp attorneys, I always kept a boundary. Like I wasn't hanging out with these attorneys, especially when they were working at the, because I feel like it gets murky when producing this show, that you're going out to dinner with these women, you're having these personal relationships. I understand it's hard, especially in entertainment, but I feel it also taints the integrity of filming reality. In my opinion, I get it. Some of you probably have some of your best friends are from work, but that's also, when you think about it, a subordinate working, hanging out and becoming friendly with the boss. He's one of the bosses. Just my thoughts. All right, let's move on from this scene. Let's talk about Emily at home. So Emily, as you know, her storyline this season is talking about her son Luke, who has an eating disorder. We also find out that he's on the spectrum. They don't know at this particular point at where on the spectrum that he is. She also talks about the guilt that she feels. She feels like she's betraying him by going on this trip. And she talks about working mothers and how they may feel. And I think that's true. I completely get it. I'm giving Emily grace. I know some people find it disgusting that she's even talking about this on a reality show. But I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. No, I think it's a good thing that she's talking about it because there are a lot of people that probably have not even thought about this as a diagnosis for their child and are seeing their child exhibit similar behaviors or early signs like an eating disorder that they never thought before. Because I think a lot of people probably learned from this show, from Emily's storyline, that, oh, wait a minute, autism and an eating disorder, I never associated the two. So she talks about feeling guilty about that. Excuse me. I'm keeping my fourth wall in. I'm keeping it in. All right. Moving on. So she talks about that, and she's having this conversation with her husband about it. Okay. And I have to say, look, can you imagine? I know there are a lot of mothers that do not have husbands, partners, and they have autistic children. She's very blessed to have a partner that's going to be at least someone there to add support. There are a lot of mothers out there that don't have this level of support. So that was the first thing that came to mind in their conversation. And I'm not surprised. I can't even imagine. There's already mom guilt when working and having children, compounded now with a son that's not eating and he's seeing the signs. Keep that in mind. When you don't eat, it affects your body. Like, there are other things that start to happen, and he's not eating because he's on the spectrum. So there's other things that need to be addressed. All right. Then we have the scene with Ryan and Jenn at the gym. This was an interesting conversation because this is where we learned a little bit more about Will. And I have to say, I looked at Ryan a little bit differently and why he had to be a little bit more active in Jen's kids' lives. Because Will is a scrub. Will is a loser. This is when they flash back to the Jeff Lewis show where she spills that she received a $200K. She was awarded a $200K lump sum in their divorce, $6,000 of spousal and child support. However, but when you think about it, with the amount of kids that she has, $6,000 a month is really not a lot. When you think about the amount of kids that she has, and that's not just child support. That is child support and spousal support. But he's not paying it. He hasn't paid it. And he's saying, oh, I'm paying for insurance and this and that. You're probably supposed to be paying those things. Plus, you're supposed to be paying these child support things. So Ryan expresses his upset over that. I don't think that Ryan is, I think Ryan knew that this conversation was going to be had. So she brings it up and she says she doesn't want to ever get a divorce again. She says, you're my best friend. And I have to seeing their interaction together, yes, it's a very new relationship, but I could see how this relationship works. There's something, although slimy about Ryan, there's also something very childlike about Ryan, and there's also something very childlike about Jenn. And when I say childlike, I think there's a little bit of an innocence there. All right. And I remember we all sort of like a little concerned for Jenn, but it seems as if he has a lot of respect for her. And she came with a lot of baggage. Let's be honest. She came with, I don't even think, does Ryan have kids? I can't remember. Does he have kids? I don't remember if he has kids or not. But either way, she came with a lot of baggage. The dogs, the children, the children's issues, the issues with the ex. And now, based on what we've seen about the ex, look, I don't excuse cheating, but I'm sort of like, yeah, she needed to leave that man. That man was not, and this is why we were talking about earlier, marriage is not just about love. She even talked about she had to get naked in order to get his attention. So she talks about the difference in what Ryan has had to put up with when it comes to this whole situation. She just wanted to really she said she got really emotional and that, she really appreciates him and that he's her best friend. And she's like, I never want to get divorced again. She's like, Ryan is forever for her. I mean, I have to say, looking at their relationship, looking at the dynamics of what's going on with the ex, I do look at the situation a little bit differently than I did before, in my opinion. So that was an interesting scene. So Shannon and Gina meet up. Why does Shannon have so many plates? But then I thought to myself, when I moved, like I have some plates here that I don't even use. And I'm like, I have a lot of plates too. But I'm going to actually go to one of those stores and donate them. Where they resell or whatever it may be. Because I'm just sort of like, I don't need all this stuff, especially when I moved. I'm no longer in a house, and she's in a house, so she has a room. But then I looked at all those plates, and I'm like, but she also has a lot of kids. Maybe she hosts a lot. I think if you host a lot, then it's probably worth it. But Gina's like, I know where I'm gonna go if I need to stage a house. Sorry, I don't know. That sounded like a little creepy, like gremlin. Sometimes, I mean, that's the vibe. Sometimes she gives. Sometimes that's the vibe that Gina gives. All right. So this is where Gina talks about what's going on with Travis and Travis's son. They have not seen Travis's son in 3 weeks. Again, I don't recall the time, but I feel like we knew there was a court decision by the time that they had the reunion or a little bit after the reunion. I can't remember. Yeah, because didn't she talk about it during the reunion, the issues with the ex? But wasn't he awarded the kids? I can't remember what happened. Honestly, I guess we'll find out this season. I can't tell you that I care enough, but I'm like, you haven't seen the son in 3 weeks. Like, go to court. Like, what are we doing? Go to court. The kid is not going to school? How old is his son? I feel like they have nothing but young kids. I'm not understanding why the kid, you have not seen your son, Travis, in 3 weeks. I don't understand why your son has not gone to school in 3 weeks. You should have immediately, the minute he missed a week, I would have been in the court, where the court would have arrested her. Sorry, your kid needs to go to school. I'm actually surprised that the school didn't get involved. Again, every state handles these things a little differently. But the fact that your kid has not gone to school in 3 weeks, the school has not gotten involved, the school hasn't, like, there should be a police at her door. Like, she shouldn't, honestly, based on some of the accusations about substances and things like that, she shouldn't even have custody. So I don't even know what's happening here. Like, I take these things very seriously when she said they haven't seen the kids in 3 weeks and the kid hasn't gone to school in 3 weeks. What? Call the lady, like, ASAP. Like, why are y'all dragging your feet with this? Now I'm looking at y'all sideways. The fact that he missed a week of school and he wasn't sick and I haven't seen my kid in 3 weeks, no. I'm looking at all of y'all like y'all dumb. Because I'm looking at Gina like, Travis, call the lawyer. What are we doing here? But again, every state handles these things differently. But I find that hard to believe. Either way, even if the school doesn't get involved, I would be calling my attorney and saying we need an emergency hearing because I haven't seen my son in 3 weeks and my son's not going to school. What is the justification for that? Especially when you hear the alleged stuff about Travis's ex. It's like, Travis, you got a lot more going on. And I get it. You know, everybody needs to have love in their lives. But you're in no position really to offer anybody anything. Especially when you can't. Okay, we're going to get into the. You can't even offer a space for all of us to live in. Remember where they were living before. Now we can. Because now, damn, Gina, I need you to choose better. And look, I think Travis is probably a nice guy. And this is not being elitist or anything. But I just feel as if my partner can't offer me anything, because God forbid I lose my good paying job over here at the Real Housewives of Orange County, are we going to be able to afford this house? If you can't help me, if God forbid I lose my job, because God forbid you lose your job, I should be able to help you. I feel like, come on. This is why I would never be a good sugar daddy. I'm not, like, I'm very generous. Ask anyone that really knows me. However, I'm not supporting your big grown self, big ball self. Sir, this is why, because Travis doesn't say a lot, I think a lot of people are like, oh, Travis is a sweet guy. No, Travis is a scrub. Keep my fourth wall in. No, Travis is a scrub. He can't offer Gina anything. Gina already is, she's not winning at life. I mean, she's getting in a better place now. Gina, you need to get with someone that's going to help elevate the life, not drag you down. Because that's what it feels like. Can I be honest? This is my review. Can I be honest? Like, he's dragging her down. Okay? Let me move on. I've wasted way too much time talking about this. So everyone's preparing and getting ready, and they're going to New Orleans. I have to say, I've been always wanted to go to New Orleans. This is probably not the month to go to New Orleans because, it's humid and hot. But maybe not. I thought Atlanta would be hot and humid, but it wasn't. It was cold and rainy, which is okay. Like, I don't love the heat like that. But apparently all that weather system moved up to New York. But I have to say we have better weather. It's actually cooler, but we still got sun. Okay, I don't mind it if we got some sun. All right. So everyone gets to New Orleans. Oh, so after seeing them in New Orleans, I'm like, I need to go to New Orleans. And I know some of you watch us in New Orleans. Shout out to those of you that watch in New Orleans. I mean, I'm not going to have a live show in New Orleans, but I wouldn't mind doing like a quick meetup. I mean, I don't have a trip to New Orleans anytime soon, but I'm just saying, I've always wanted to go to New Orleans. I want to try the baguettes. I want to go to the haunted stuff. I want to do those things. But then I don't know if I want to do the haunted stuff. I don't play about that stuff. You know what I would do before I left New Orleans? I would probably sage the hell out of myself. And any spirits be gone. I believe in that crap. I'll bring a whole lot of black tourmaline or go buy some down there, right? Anyway, focus, y'all. Today's Lionsgate portal, 888. Well, 88. Happy Leo season, okay, Lionsgate portal. All right, so some of the ladies arrived before Tamra, Heather, Shannon, etc. So there's Katie, Gretchen, Jenn, and Gina. So they are already in New Orleans. All right, they're staying at the Four Seasons Hotel. Okay, Bravo paid for that. God only knows how much it costs to stay at the Four Seasons down in New Orleans. I want to know. Maybe I'll stay there. All right. I don't know. I don't know how much the Four Seasons is in New Orleans or in general. Have you ever stayed at the Four Seasons? I don't think so. Either way, it's nice. And I have to say, Gina looked great. Okay. Oh, and Emily was there too. Sidebar, rewinding back. Why is Emily, just when I really try to defend you, why are you lifting up your skirt and showing your butt, your bare butt to these women? Shannon, why are you showing your cooch to these women? Look, I'm not around a lot of women this age or this hue. However, I just, ladies of this hue, weigh in. It's what you doing on girls' trips? I'm like, why am I? Like, I don't find that funny. I think they think it's funny because this is what housewives have done over the years. But I'm just like, okay, anyway. So they take a river ride. They're not sure what river they're on. They're on the Mississippi River. But they take all kinds of guesses, and they're wrong. We're in the bayou. I didn't expect Gina to know anything, but yeah. So they try to figure that out. So Emily spills the tea that Jenn told her that Shannon said, don't roll over on me in regards to the whole Tamra of it all. And I mean, I get it. This is just a reminder that we're watching a reality show and that a lot of these friendships are not real friendships and they're just alliances, if we're going to be honest. Okay. So they talk about that, and Emily and Gina are like, Emily's just like, we're trying to move on. We're trying to move forward. We're not trying to stay stuck in these things. Everyone seems to either be scared of Tamra or just have an alliance with Tamra. It doesn't make sense. I'm not saying that we need to bully Tamra. But it just doesn't make sense. I feel like Tamra has really put herself on this island, and people are just choosing to be with her, not out of real friendship, but just out of alliance sake. All right. So the ladies finally arrive and they head on to this sort of haunted dinner. Okay. So let's talk about the dinner. I'm not going to be here long. Okay. Because I thought it was an okay episode. I think what's to come looks far more interesting. So they all get together and they go to the dinner, and Gina's just like, I just want to have a good dinner. I just want to have a good time. We don't need to necessarily have any deep conversations. Fine. So Jenn gives the group an update on what's been going on with her ex, Will, and Ryan. Apparently, they had never really interacted with each other until this moment. And Ryan confronted Will about not paying his fair share. And she said, well, now Will's going to punish her for this conversation. But I thought that the conversation probably would have went left. But it sounds like Will's a punk. And it sounds like Will's like, I can't deny it. Like, yeah, I'm not paying what I'm supposed to be paying. So now, please understand, just because he's not paying this doesn't mean that it's not being racked up. I don't know what the California state laws are for that, but I know in some states they will come get you and arrest you for not paying child support. But you have to make a complaint with the court. And I can already tell you, Jenn is not going to do that. All right. Emily chimes in, is like, he needs to pay his child support. I don't care that he's paying. Emily, here's the thing, and I get it. She always wants to come across as a smart one, knows what she's talking about because she's the lawyer. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. However, I'm still sort of like, mind your business. Like, you and Jenn ain't that cool, okay? But I agree with you. I do agree with you that he should be paying. He's paying for the insurance and things like that. But regardless, you would have been paying these things anyway. I'm wondering, before, when they were together, like, who was paying what? I mean, Jenn wasn't working. I mean, I guess she was doing the yoga studio stuff, but she wasn't working. You were paying for them. But I guess now, that's the downside of divorce. You got to pay for your lifestyle, and now you got to pay for your ex-wife's lifestyle. He should be happy that she's getting married, because the minute she gets married, he doesn't pay spousal support, but he still has how many kids with Jenn? So Gina then talks about the issues that's going on with her and Travis's son. And then she mentions that Travis's ex-wife ends up calling her son. See, that's where I'd be like, Travis, I know we tried. We tried, but now your ex is calling my son, harassing my son. And that's a difficult part about, like, when you have kids. You usually do end up with someone else that has kids. And then, there's those dynamics of, okay, the ex and, baby mama drama or baby daddy drama. But I'm just saying, my single self with no children, I'll be damned if I would get in a relationship in a situation like this. I'd be like, I love you, but no, I didn't sign up for this. Once you figure out the situation over there, then maybe. But she's probably also thinking, the situation with her ex wasn't always perfect. And I don't know if it wasn't perfect when she was with Travis, but it's good now. It's good now. Guys, if you're just joining us, don't forget to like the video. It's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. Don't forget as well, you can hear an audio version of the Kempire recaps on the Kempire podcast, on Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify while you're there. Don't forget to give us a 5-star review. And also, don't forget, we will be talking about hot topics like this one and so much more during the Kempire After Dark live experience coming to Washington, D.C. on August 22nd. We still haven't sold out that show, D.C. Like, look. So this is why when I see everyone at the shows, they're like, please come back to the city. Well, let's sell out the show and I'll definitely come back. Guys, get your tickets today for that. And then New York City, my home city. Y'all always dragging y'all feet. Look, I don't know why. Get your tickets today for the Kempire After Dark live experience for New York City, September 12th. That show has a live stream option, so anyone from around the world can watch it. So get your tickets today. More information will be available in the description. Katie talks about, they're talking about their sex lives and things like that, and she admits to recording intimate times with her and her husband. And Shannon says she's not surprised. She's like, Katie likes to record things. I did think to myself at the housewarming, Gina's housewarming, I was like, wait a minute. We didn't see any interaction between, or at least comment from Katie and Shannon. Well, buckle up. We definitely had it during this cast trip. Shannon takes that dig at Katie, and Katie's just like, oh, here we go. I mean, Katie was definitely integrated. It feels like everyone sort of not necessarily let go of their issues with Katie, but it seems like everyone's getting along, or at least being civil, which was nice, because can you imagine if they were acting awkward around Katie? But yeah. Katie did mention that she feels for Ryan and what he's going through with the whole Jenn of it all. And she was just like, Matt had a similar issue with her ex-husband at one particular point where the ex-husband cursed him out. And she says she's just grateful for Matt. And then we find out that Jenn, like her vajayjay is closed because she had pelvic surgery. Is that going to get better? Like, I need to understand. I have no idea. She says, like, I'm not going to even explain to you because I don't need them taking this video down. But she's like, Ryan is a saint. The girls are saying Ryan is a saint because all the stuff that he's dealing with from her ex, and now they can barely have sex. I don't know what that is. A ghost spilled a drink on Heather. Was it a ghost or was it just Joe? I don't know, but here we are. Guys, I'm going to keep it short today just because, like I said before, I am pre-recording this because I got a lot going. Look, I was away for, it was only like 48 hours, but that cuts into everything that we need to get done when it comes to life. But stay tuned for more. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to the Kempire YouTube channel. Make sure you're following us on Twitch, right? twitch.tv/TheKempire. And subscribe to the Kempire podcast, where you'll get, maybe I'll add more additional thoughts that I have that maybe I forgot to the podcast. I do that every once in a while as well on the podcast. So subscribe today, and who knows, I might go live a little bit later on today because, if I pre-record something, sometimes it gives me energy to do more stuff later on. So make sure you're following us everywhere on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. And if you follow me on all those platforms, I really do go live on those separate platforms, and it's like a separate conversation. So subscribe today if you haven't subscribed. Thank you to our King's Guards. Thank you to our channel members. Become a member at TheKempire.com/join. And of course, thank you to our subscribers. We appreciate you guys. And those of you watching in the bushes, I will see you guys next week and I will take callers and things like that next week for our Real Housewives of Orange County recap. Be sure to check out our Real Housewives of Miami recap from yesterday. And stay tuned for the Rewind, Rewatch recap with Kempire coming to the channel next week. We're going to start off with some Real Housewives of Atlanta or New York. I haven't decided which one just yet, but stay tuned. Stay tuned. We'll be talking about that come Monday. I appreciate you guys being here. I will see you all in the next one. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Happy Friday.
Thanks for tuning in to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. As always, you can hear Kempire on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. More information can be found on KempireRadio.com.